This video features the use of dangerous tools, hazardous chemicals and sharp knives. Viewer discretion is advised.
Blue is the only proper colour for an engine. Just look at me, sparkling in the sunshine.
I've always been green, and I wouldn't want to be any other colour.
Pa, blue is the only colour for a really useful engine. Everyone knows that.
If you say so, Thomas.
Be careful in this siding, Percy. These buffers don't look very safe to me.
Oh, I'm sure they're fine.
I'm choking. Get me out of here.
Oh no! Thomas, you don't look really useful now. You look really disgraceful.
I am not disgraceful. You did that on purpose.
Relax. At least the buffers stopped me. I'm sorry, Thomas. We need to clear this up before we can get you out of this siding. Percy will have to take your train. Who'd have thought it? Fancy a really useful blue engine like Thomas becoming a disgrace to the Fat Controller's Railway.
Just you wait. Soon you'll be laughing on the other side of your smoke box.
Look at you, Thomas. Looking clean and smart for a change.
Come on then, Percy. Let's get you a drink.
Huh, what was that?
Oh dear. It's your brakes. Stay calm.
At least the buffers will stop me. Oh no!
At least the buffers stopped you. Silly old Percy. Hello everyone. I hope you enjoyed this little adaptation of Thomas, Percy and the Coal. This story, if you didn't know, comes from the Railway series book More About Thomas the Tank Engine by Christopher Aldry. Fun fact, it was actually written because Britt and David needed more Thomas stories to adapt for the TV series. At the time, they were only allowed to use stories from the Railway series, so this one was specially created to help keep the show rolling. In the TV series, the coal incident is shown using a hopper, which makes for a really fun sequence. But for this project, I wanted to stay a little closer to the book, though I still took a few creative liberties here and there. Overall, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I set the story at a branch line station instead of Tidmouth. I began by laying out the tracks, curving the branch line around the yard so that the departing train could be seen in the background. I also made sure the coal mishap happened at the same buffer stop. In the TV version, the unsafe buffers are actually two separate incidents, which I find a little bit odd. Then again, on Sodor it seems like no buffer is ever truly safe. Once the track layout felt right, I added grass mats and a tunnel portal at the end of the set. For ballast, I used Woodland Scenic's coarse grade. Then it was onto the scenery. I started with some fine turf around the track edges, a blend of light brown, dark brown and black. Platforms went in next, followed by some line-side details. I actually stumbled across these perfect coal storage bunkers in a drawer. They work perfectly. After finishing off the grass mats and adding some buildings, I moved on to the bushes and trees. Most of the scenic materials I own are from a fantastic company in Italy called Diorama Presepe, if that's how you pronounce it. Probably not at all, I've probably really butchered it, I apologise. They make some really incredible stuff. You should check out their website and definitely get some of their scenics. I layered in different shades and textures, and then added all these fun little details: chains, broken wagon parts, and spare wheels. The tunnel portal, of course, doesn't actually go anywhere, so I just covered it up with black paper to fake the depth. It's not the most elegant solution, but it worked for this setup. If I'd had more time, I probably would have blacked it out a bit more convincingly, or finished it in post. I then added crushed coal, a signal, and it was time to film. Now for the crashes. Thomas's crash was enhanced with a bit of VFX magic. My crushed coal doesn't really kick up enough dust on its own, so I added extra particles and flying debris in post. Percy's crash got the same treatment to really sell the impact. One tricky part with resin prints is how fragile the buffers can be. After filming Thomas's crash, Percy's buffer got chipped and somehow his brake pipe vanished too. Normally I've got spares ready, but wouldn't you know it, I ran out. So I quickly painted up some new buffers and Percy was back in action. And there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If there are any crashes or characters or stories you'd like to see me adapt next, please let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out my Patreon. You'll get early releases, when they're possible, behind the scenes updates, exclusive videos, and more. Have a look. The link is in the description. Of course, there's no pressure at all. Just watching and engaging with this video means the world to me. Thanks again for being here. And that's that. And now, so that the video features dangerous chemicals, etc., so we keep that common section, please enjoy the making of Thomas the Tank Engine.
No Sodor fleet is complete without Thomas the Tank Engine. Over the years, I've had a few different Bachmann Thomas models, some of which I adapted with rather funky funnels, either too long, bit mangled, or slightly wonky. This is because the soothe smoke units I install are too big to fit inside the pre-existing funnel, so they have to be removed and replaced. I used to use a plastic straw, but this time I unlocked a new mode, 3D printing. Originally, I only planned to build Oliver and Duck for Oliver's cliffside collapse, but Caleb Train rightfully convinced me to take a crack at the other engines. The design for the shell was created by the LBSC Thomas and then was 3D printed. Initially it appeared to have warped slightly, probably due to less than ideal print settings. To fix this, I tried heating the resin and sandwiching it between two wooden blocks. This wasn't very effective, so we decided to add bars to the design for the next print. If you know how to fix 3D print warping, please let me know. Then came the never-ending sanding and filling stage. After priming, even more blemishes were revealed, so it was back to sanding, filling and repeating the process again. The running board was primed with Tamiya Primer Grey, and then the sides were covered in Tamiya's brilliant red. Caleb and I had a little trouble finding the right blue for Thomas. We tried one that was too dark, and another that was way too light. Eventually, we landed on Tamiya French Blue. I was still a bit unsure, but more on that later. Next up was the lining. Ideally, I wanted the lining to be flush with the loco, so I tried water transfers. But as I mentioned in my Oliver video, I had real trouble sourcing good water transfers. There are commercial lining sheets available in red, but I knew I'd have to find a matching number 1, and I didn't want the number 1 to stick out, compared to the lining. I painstakingly tried masking out where I wanted the lining and then spray painting it, but I had an immense amount of paint bleed. I decided it wasn't worth the hassle. After that, it was back to sanding and priming again. This freshly primed Thomas gave me a new opportunity though. I still wanted a darker shade of blue. I tried these two blues, but they were too dark. I then contacted my friend James, whose Thomas model has a very nice blue. He wasn't sure exactly which blue it was though. So, he sprayed Tamiya French blue and Humbrol French blue next to his Thomas. The Humbrol seemed a little darker, so I decided to give it a go. The shade was indeed much darker than I initially thought it would be, but I liked it. It was nowhere near as dark as the others I'd tried, and it would better complement the green I planned to use for Percy and Henry later on. It turns out James's Thomas's blue is in fact still Tamiya French blue, but with a darker undercoat. Once Thomas was in a new coat of blue paint, I returned to the lining and settled on good old-fashioned vinyl. I then got to work cutting the chassis and motor block to fit the 3D printed shell. I modified the 3D funnel to accommodate the soothed smoke units I use. I made sure the hole was big enough for the smoke unit, but that the funnel didn't look too chunky or unsightly. I printed new lamps and painted them white. I then printed a new whistle and painted it gold. And all of these accessories, 3D files, were made available by Jamos Tranos. I installed the new smoke unit and smoothed over an unfortunate crack in his smoke box. He was almost complete. Until... This was not good. I glued it back together and I realised it wouldn't work, so I completely recreated the running board. I soon got a face scan of Thomas's smiling face printed, and he finally felt complete. When I started my commissioned Thomas models, I noticed that more updated shells were available, which were a little more accurately proportioned. I also fell back in love with Tamiya French blue after giving it a much darker base layer before applying the blue. One day, I might revisit my 3D printed Thomas, but since so much work went into this Thomas, I don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon. So, without further ado, here's Thomas.